I want to start with a number, $310,605. That is the estimated cost of raising one child from birth to age 17 in the United States, according to the most recent data from the Brookings Institution. That does not include college. That does not include the wedding you will eventually be guilted into partially funding. That does not include the therapy, theirs or yours. Just birth to 17, $310,605. Now here is the remarkable thing about that number. Most people who decide to have children do not sit down with a spreadsheet and say, all right, we are about to take on $350,000 in expenses. Let us plan accordingly. They just do it. Which is either the most beautifully human thing imaginable or a deeply concerning failure of financial planning, depending on which day of parenting you catch them on. Today we are going to break down exactly where that money goes, why it keeps going, and, because this is not just a horror story, what you can actually do about it. By the end of this, you will have a clear-eyed, honest, occasionally funny picture of what it costs to keep a small human alive and send them into the world as a functioning adult. I have a few good chuckles preparing this video, nodded many times, yet bring back good memories. Let's us begin, and I'll share some of my stories along the way. The first year of a child's life is, financially speaking, an ambush. You have 9 months to prepare, but nothing actually prepares you for the velocity of expenditure that begins approximately 12 minutes after you get home from the hospital. According to the USDA and various consumer research groups, the average cost of a baby's first year is between $13,000 and $21,000, depending on your location, childcare situation, and whether you have relatives willing to contribute approximately 4,000 items of clothing in the newborn size your baby will outgrow in 3 weeks. Let us break down where that money goes. Childbirth itself. The average vaginal delivery in the U.S. costs about $14,000 before insurance. A C-section averages around $26,000. After insurance, most families pay between $1,500 and $5,000 out of pocket depending on their plan. So before the baby has done anything other than exist, you are already behind. Baby gear. The stroller industrial complex is real. The average American family spends approximately $3,300 on baby gear and equipment in the first year. Strollers, car seats, cribs, bouncers, swings, monitors, and an assortment of items that were described as essential on the internet and used twice. The gear industry is very good at making you feel that buying the right bouncy seat is a form of parenting. It is not. It is a form of marketing, feeding. Breastfeeding, if it works for your family, dramatically reduces costs, though the pump, the accessories, and the lactation consultant you may need can run $500 to $1,000. Formula, however, averages $150 to $300 per month, roughly $1,800 to $3,600 for the first year alone. For context, that is more than many people spend on their car payment. Diapers and wipes. Your child will use approximately 2,500 diapers in their first year. At an average of 25 to 30 cents per diaper, that is $625 to $750 in diapers alone. Before wipes, creams, and the specific brand of trash can that somehow cost $80 and makes parents feel better about the smell. And all of that is before childcare, which deserves its own section, because childcare deserves to be confronted directly and without euphemism. Here is a statistic that stops people mid-sentence every time I say it. The average annual cost of full-time infant childcare in the United States is $16,000 to $22,000 per year. In high-cost cities, San Francisco, New York, Boston, Washington, D.C., it can exceed $35,000 annually. That is more than the average annual tuition at a 4-year public university. Let me say that again so it can fully land. Daycare for one baby costs more per year than sending a teenager to a state college. We do not talk about this enough. We talk about the college savings crisis constantly. We barely talk about the daycare crisis that precedes it by 18 years. For many families, particularly those with 2 working parents in a high-cost area, the math of childcare is genuinely brutal. The average American family spends 10% to 35% of their household income on childcare, and for lower-income families, that percentage can be even higher. The recommendation from the Department of Health and Human Services is that childcare should cost no more than 7% of household income to be considered affordable. By that standard, childcare is unaffordable for a significant majority of American families. What does this mean practically? It means that for many families, particularly mothers, the decision about whether to return to work after a baby is not made based on career goals or personal fulfillment. It is made by a calculator. If your salary minus childcare minus additional work-related expenses, commuting, work clothes, lunches, leaves you with less than you would net by staying home, the financial math says stay home. And many families make that choice not from preference but from arithmetic. This is one of the most significant and least discussed financial dynamics in American family economics. The true cost of a child in the early years is not just what you spend on them. It is also what you lose in income, career progression, and retirement contributions during the years spent managing the math. You may think of education costs as something that starts at age 5 with kindergarten and ends at 18 with graduation. You are adorably wrong. Education costs begin earlier, end later, and sprawl much wider than most people anticipate. Before school, beyond daycare, pre-K and preschool programs average $8,000 to $13,000 per year for a quality program. Many families pay this for 2 to 3 years before kindergarten even begins. K through 12 public school, even free public school, is not free. The average family spends $1,170 per year per child on public school-related costs: supplies, field trips, extracurricular activity fees, sports equipment, school photos, fundraisers, graduation fees, and the annual tradition of being asked to buy wrapping paper from a catalog in September. Over 13 years, that is approximately $15,000. K through 12, private school. If you choose private school, the national average tuition is $12,000 to $15,000 per year for elementary, and up to $30,000 to $50,000 per year for elite private high schools. Over 13 years of private education, you are looking at $200,000 to $400,000 in tuition alone, an amount that would otherwise represent a substantial portion of a retirement fund. College. The average annual cost of a 4-year public university for in-state students is approximately $27,000 per year, including room and board, roughly $108,000 for 4 years. Private universities average $57,000 per year, or $228,000 for 4 years. And that is at today's prices. College costs have historically risen at about 6% per year, faster than overall inflation and significantly faster than most families' savings growth. The 529 College Savings Plan, the primary tax-advantaged vehicle designed for this, allows contributions to grow tax-free when used for qualified education expenses. If you start a 529 when a child is born and contribute $250 per month, earning a 6% annual return, you will have approximately $86,000 by the time they turn 18. Better than nothing. Probably not enough. Start anyway. Healthcare costs for children are not astronomical on a typical year. They are, however, deeply unpredictable, and unpredictability in a budget line that cannot be skipped is its own kind of expensive. The average healthy child has approximately 4 to 6 pediatric visits per year in their early years, well visits, vaccines, sick visits, at a cost of $100 to $300 per visit after insurance copays. Annual dental visits, vision checks, and orthodontic consultations add to this. The average family with children spends about $2,500 to $4,000 per year on pediatric healthcare, including premiums, copays, and out-of-pocket expenses. Then the wild cards arrive: braces. The average orthodontic treatment costs $3,000 to $7,000 and is partially covered by some dental plans. If you have 3 children who all inherit your teeth, you are potentially looking at $15,000 to $21,000 in orthodontic costs, appearing across your budget in a 7-year window with all the predictability of a fire alarm during dinner. Sports injuries. Learning disabilities requiring specialized support, glasses. Mental health services for teenagers, which are increasingly necessary and increasingly expensive. The average cost of 1 month of outpatient adolescent therapy is $800 to $1,200 without insurance coverage, and therapist availability for teenagers is severely limited in many markets. Healthcare for children is an area where the budget line should exist, the emergency fund should be robust, and the expectation should be that something unexpected will happen, because with children, something unexpected always happens. Here is the category that surprises parents most, because it is not a single line item. It is 1,000 small line items that accumulate into something very large: food. The USDA estimates that a family of 4 spends $15,000 to $19,000 per year on food, compared to about $8,000 to $10,000 for a couple without children. Children are not proportional eaters. A teenage son can consume quantities that defy reasonable projection. Plan for more than you think. Transportation. Children require driving. Driving requires a vehicle large enough to accommodate children, car seats, sports equipment, and an amount of crumbs that constitutes a secondary ecosystem. The average family adds one additional vehicle trip per day per child, which translates to roughly $1,000 to $2,000 per year in additional fuel, maintenance, and wear above what a childless household would spend. Clothing. Children grow relentlessly and without warning. The average family spends $700 to $1,000 per child per year on clothing, which sounds manageable until you factor in that children in different seasons, different sizes, and different activities need different wardrobes. A child playing soccer, doing swim lessons, attending school, and occasionally appearing at family events needs more clothing than the average adult requires in 5 years. I have to say I can't agree more on this. Technology and activities. Extracurricular activities are a significant and often underestimated budget line. Music lessons average $80 to $150 per month. Club sports teams average $1,000 to $5,000 per season once you factor in registration, equipment, travel, and uniforms. The average American family with children in organized activities spends about $3,000 to $4,000 per year on extracurriculars. Per child. And there is enormous social pressure, from the children, from other parents, from the general culture, to participate. This is very true, and you just have to set your line: how many activities are the kids doing, before you go broke or go crazy. While the cost of the activities is the financial part, but the logistics of escorting them to and from the activities are enough to make you go crazy, especially you just want to relax and catch up on rest over the weekend. The lost investment opportunity cost. This is the most abstract, but possibly most financially significant hidden cost. Every dollar spent on raising a child is a dollar not invested. At a 7% annual return, $310,000 invested at birth grows to approximately $2.4 million by retirement at a 40-year horizon. That is not an argument against having children. It is simply the honest accounting of what the money would do otherwise. Financial planners call this opportunity cost, and for child rearing it is enormous. Most parents never calculate it and perhaps should not. Some things are better left uncalculated. None of what I have said so far is meant to terrify you into choosing between children and financial stability. Hundreds of millions of people have raised children on modest incomes and built meaningful financial lives. The money is manageable, but it requires intention. Here is the practical framework. 1. Build the emergency fund before, not during. Having a robust emergency fund before a child arrives is not a luxury. It is a prerequisite. The unpredictability of child-related expenses, the medical wildcards, the equipment that fails, the emergency childcare gap, makes a 3 to 6 month cushion not just recommended but essential. The first financial act of preparing for a child should be building the buffer. 2. Start the 529 immediately. A 529 account opened at birth and funded with $100 per month, even $50 per month, will outperform an account opened at age 10 with $500 per month because of the compound interest head start. Every year you delay starting a 529 costs you approximately 6% annual growth on the contributions you would have made. Start small. Start now. Increase contributions as income grows. 3. Audit the activity budget annually. Extracurricular activities are the fastest growing discretionary expense in child-rearing budgets and the most socially pressured. A family can meaningfully reduce costs by capping activities at one per child per season, choosing recreational leagues over competitive travel teams, and having honest conversations with children about what they genuinely love versus what they are doing because their friends are doing it. 4. Plan the childcare transition deliberately. The gap between infant care costs and school-age care costs is significant. Infant care averages $1,500 per month. School-age aftercare averages $300 to $500 per month. Families who map out this cost curve in advance can plan for the relief that arrives at kindergarten and allocate the freed-up budget towards savings or debt repayment before lifestyle inflation absorbs it. 5. Talk about money with your kids. This is the longest return investment in this entire list. Children who receive regular, age-appropriate financial education are significantly more likely to save, invest, and avoid high-interest debt as adults, according to research from the University of Cambridge. Teaching a child the value of money, the concept of delayed gratification, and the basics of budgeting does not just make them more financially capable. It reduces the likelihood that they will need your financial support indefinitely as adults. That is worth a great deal. This one is very true. I am one of those parents that ask my kids, how many times do you think you would play this toy? Or do you think you would play this car for the next 2 weeks? Many times I genuinely know they won't. The point is, I want them to think about how to maximize the value they get from the same amount of money. Buy a toy that you would enjoy longer than just one afternoon. Let us go back to $310,605. That number is real and it is large. But here is what it does not capture. It does not capture the economic value of what children produce over their lifetimes. It does not capture the unpriceable things, the relationship, the meaning, the particular texture of a life lived with children in it. Personal finance is ultimately about aligning your money with the life you actually want. For many people, children are central to the life they want. The cost is not a reason to avoid that life. It is a reason to plan for it with the same seriousness you would give any major financial commitment, which, at $310,000 and climbing, it absolutely is. Know the numbers. Build the systems. Start the accounts early. Audit the discretionary spending. Talk about money with your kids. And maybe skip the $80 diaper trash can. Your nose will adjust. Everyone's does. Hit the like and subscribe button. See you in the next video.